This is zombies! Oh my god! Oh my god! It is some zombie fun times. Some fun times with zombies during swag time. This is way, like, I want to say 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning for me. Probably even way later for poor Dalton, because he lives all the way in Tennessee. I reckon. Anyhoozle. This is, just, 30 minutes of some zombies. Some zombads. I hope you guys enjoy this footage. I do pretty well, I guess. Dear Dalton hasn't played this game in forever, so he does the best he can. Yay, round 1. So far, I'm got the most monies. Oh, man. So, that's a good time to talk about zombie apocalypse, I suppose. Well, in all actuality, I would want probably a Colt 9mm with my katana. And the reason why I picked the Colt 9mm instead of the Colt 45 is the fact that the 9mm round is very, very common all throughout the United States. So if there ever came a time where I had to scavenge for ammo, it wouldn't be very hard to find. And I'm pretty sure even the standard police round is the 9mm, or for most police sidearms, it's the 9mm. I mean, some venture off and use the 45 and maybe in a 357. But overall, the standard or the most common found round for the pistol is 9mm. And secondly, my melee weapon, my katana, it's really light when it comes to swords. It has a lot of range, and it is a badass killing machine. I cannot even begin to tell you how superior the katana is to basically any other melee weapon. Especially when in the hands of a master or even an average novice. Like, I feel fairly confident if someone had a knife out and I pulled out my katana, they would be done. Because one, there's 3 or 4 ways I can take the situation. One, they're charging at me and I have not drawn my sword, which then I would take the situation into quick drawing, which then I'd slice them in half. Because, well, I can, and I'm gonna show you guys some videos where I slice a whole bunch of pumpkins and some milk jugs hanging from ropes and other stuff like that later on my main channel. But I'm not gonna talk about that on the awesome channel of Planet Unplugged. That's just my plug for the day, for the week, however that works. And toe to toe, when it comes to being used as a melee weapon, it's more efficient than most. You don't have to because of the steel, you don't have to sharpen it as much, and it holds the blade longer, the sharpness of the blade longer than most because of the way that it was crafted and the steel that is used. I have a legitimate katana, a real the steel is from Japan. They imported it to the United States. And you're like, Zach, why not just get a real katana from Japan? I'm like, well, random stranger that's asking a really good question. All Japanese, like, they're made by samurai families. All the real, like, for serious Japanese katanas are considered national treasures and are illegal to export or import to other countries. So that's just one. Unless you're like in a special such and such, or you know a guy. But for the average Joe like me, there's no chance in hell that I'm getting a official Japanese katana. The katana that I have it's made this exact same way the Japanese make it, except for it was made in America. And so those are my melee weapons. I always have my tactical gear that I would wear would be my combat boots, cargo pants, a light shirt, a baseball cap, and depending on the weather, a jacket. Oh, and definitely leather working gloves. You can never go wrong with leather working gloves. You know, maybe you get exposed, maybe you have a cut on your hand or something, and you don't want to expose your hands to the infected blood that you may be spilling. Another good thing about the 9mm is it's relatively quiet compared to most bullets. And it's, you know, it has some decent range. And not only that, but these weapons that I've mentioned are weapons I've actually used before and know how to use quite effectively. And these are weapons that I can attain. I already have my katana, I just need 9mm. And then for my rifle would be my 30-30 carbine. And it's a particular round, I know. It's not exactly fit for long-term use, but definitely for the first month or couple months even, I can effectively use my 30-30 lever action octangular barrel, or hex barrel, as some people say, carbine very effectively at a pretty long distance, pretty decent range. So that'd be my long-range weapon. I got a short-range weapon, and I got a melee weapon. I described to you what I would be wearing, and I'd probably be wearing a face mask of some kind. I have goggles that I cut out of my one of my paintball helmets for face protection, and then I'll probably just wear a bandana over my mouth. So I'd look like a badass, basically. My strategy to surviving the zombie apocalypse, which is obviously staying indoors for the first 3 or 4 weeks. You don't want to travel, and the only time you should travel is if you're in a densely populated area which you live. If you live with a whole bunch, like you live in a cul-de-sac, or you live in a very suburban area with a lot of houses and people that live in those houses, that's a very, very difficult place to live in, due to the fact that people will be looting or become zombies and trying to kill you. There's either two possibilities. You're either going to be stabbed and killed by a person who needs your resources, or second, you're killed by a zombie, or you're just overrun by zombies. See, I'm in a position where my house is far enough away from civilization, but not too far away that I can gather resources from, you know, like convenience stores, Walmarts, and stuff like that. But my house is going to become very self-sufficient. We're getting chickens. My dad's working on building not only a windmill, but solar panels, and we have plenty of prickly pear fruit to pick. We have natural resources to use, and we're building a stable for our horse, because our horse lives at a different stable. So I have a means of transportation. Basically my house is self-sufficient, and I will be getting my grandpa's reloader and his thousands of rounds. So this is basically Fort Zach, and I will be shooting everyone and anything that I see. Basically, if you come up my driveway, I'm killing you. And you're like, wow, that's really harsh. Well, I'm like, yeah, I want to live. Because, I'm sorry, you can't be nice in an environment like that. In any hypothetical apocalypse environment. Like, the power turns off, or or technology suddenly stops working, or a nuclear bomb goes off, and, you know, the United States is in peril, and everything's going haywire, and the military's taking over, blah blah blah. You have to be self-sufficient and ruthless. Because if you show kindness, if you be kind, that shows weakness. I know it's very brutal and, well, primitive. Very primitive, to be perfectly honest. People will take advantage of you. They'll take resources that you may need later on. Like, say a family with 2 kids comes along and they want food from you. You give them that food, but 2 weeks from that point, you needed that food to live. Now you're starving to death, wondering why you gave up your food. Or hey, maybe their kids they've actually kidnapped those kids and sort of brainwashed them to be their little minions, and turns out as you turn your back to give them food, they stab you in the throat or in the neck or in the spine or something, you know. Um, you have to fend off constantly raiders. You have to be brutal when it comes to your tactics. I know how to build a well, hypothetical chemical weapon that can be used in a hypothetical situation. I would never build one ever, but if I had to fend off hypothetical people from invading my raiders, we could call them looters, you could call them, I could make it so they would never want to come to my house again, because they would be bleeding out of every orifice while drowning in their own blood from their lungs bleeding. So that, you have to use very fearful tactics. You have to put up people's heads and spikes and on your yard, and you have to become medieval in a sense, because if you don't, people will take advantage of you, ruin your life, and kill you, and rape your family, and you can't have that. So fuck other people, unless, you actually know them as a human being and a person. You're like, this person is a decent human being, and I trust them. Then you could maybe set up some type of code, or they can wear a particular type of clothing or color of clothing when approaching the threshold of your home or your fort. Then you wouldn't have to be killing your friends. Then you could just kill random people, take their resources, and survive, and have a semi-decent life. So that's my strategy towards surviving in any apocalypse-based environment, you could say. Excuse me if I'm making a lot of noise. I'm sort of excited because I talk a lot about that kind of stuff, and it's very interesting. Give me your thoughts and opinions on what you would do and how you would correspond. I mean, morally, I'm just being realistic. I'm being human. I'm understanding that as a human, my second nature is my first nature. We'll call my skin and maybe even first inner core layer. Like, think of me as a earth. I got my crust, my outer crust, and then I go in my mantle and my core. I realize that my core and my mantle, I'm a primitive, savage animal. But all previous 3 layers are me being a kind human person doing everything I can for my fellow man. I understand in order to survive, I have to tap into my core and my inner core behavior in order to survive in a situation like that, because people will go crazy. You've seen the tip of the iceberg when it comes to craziness and people. Like, look at Black Friday. Black Friday, people get stabbed, shot, ran over, trampled, and any other sorts of terrible things that happen over a fucking toaster that's 50% off, or a laundry fucking washer or dryer that's 75% off, or a fucking Xbox or video game that's, maybe 30% off. People go batshit crazy over the littlest things. I mean, take the Dark Knight, for example. I mean, sure it's fiction, but as the Joker has said, I love this quote, without all these rules, these people in a few days will eat each other. And it's true. People will do it. I've talked to many sane, logical, morally good people, and I've basically talked to them for only 30 minutes and convinced them that their core and primal instincts will be to, if you had to, you would eat someone. And if you say you wouldn't eat someone if you were dying of starvation, then you're a bullshitter and you're lying, because you've probably never been dying of starvation. Your body stops producing the enzymes in your stomach in which the enzymes that protect your stomach from the acid in your stomach. So the acid in the stomach actually starts eating the stomach and other organs outside of it. But before that, all that lovely process starts to happen, your body starts to eat goes through your fat, and then even goes through all your muscles, so you can barely move or walk. You'd be lucky enough to crawl on the goddamn ground. And then the love. Oh, and then they go into your bones, so they weaken your bone structure to absorb whatever nutrients that your body can possibly do, because you're starving to death. So it's pouring all of the extra resources you've been storing up into surviving. And then finally your stomach starts to eat itself, and then as the stomach acid seeps out of your stomach, your organs start to slowly turn into a nice gooey mush. So that's what fucking starving to death is, okay? So you're not telling me, you say you're trapped on a sandbar, not an island, because everyone knows that there's small animals and fruit and maybe even fucking tree bark and plants you can eat on an island. I'm talking about a sandbar. Some people can't even survive 10 hours of hunger. Most people are so insane and messed up. Like my brother, for example. Like, he honestly starts talking about how he would cook someone in 10 hours without food. I mean, not because we don't have food, just because he's too busy playing video games or something. And that's just extreme example. But other example is like 3 days without food. I'm telling you, someone would be eaten by then on a sandbar. Because on a sandbar, let's just say it doesn't sink for 40 days, okay? So you have to somehow survive with water. Okay, let's say you're in a freshwater environment on a sandbar that doesn't sink for 40 days. You die of starvation in 30 days. You die of dehydration in 3 days. So you got plenty of water, that's fine. But you don't have food. So first you'll resort to eating leather, clothing, stuff like that, and then all that's gone. So now what do you eat? Now you have to determine who you want to eat. You slowly go into insanity and madness, and you have to break your morals and your ethics in order to find out how you would live, because everyone wants to live. I mean, even to some extent, people who say they want to die don't really mean it until they take it back as soon as they experience a life-threatening or death-defying experience. So I mean, so you soon to realize which person are you gonna eat? You know, how are you gonna live? Are you gonna team up? Are you gonna leave the sandbar, or are you just gonna go over to a different corner of the sandbar, die of starvation, and let the other people eat you? You know, there's all these moral questions you have to come up across, and depending on how good of a person you are, I'm not saying I wouldn't struggle with this. I would definitely struggle. There would be no way I could eat a human being without moral conflicts, without my conscience. I'll probably go insane. It's probably what will happen. But like Hannibal Lecter. I mean, that's a great film. Great films, actually. All 3 of them, or 4 of them, however that works. But anyway, I digress. You have to come to some realization that we're human. We're not fucking better than animals. We're barely out of the jungle, okay? We are not civilized in the least. We're semi-civilized animals, as George Carlin would say. To be honest, it doesn't take much to unravel fucking civilization. I'm surprised governments have been able to keep civilization around for this long, because we're just nuts and crazy and terrible. But I also embrace the great things about our existence as well, that we've created art and music and all kinds of beautiful things. We've extended art into all facets of our human existence, you know, food, activities, and other things like that. But you also have to understand, with the good comes the bad. And unfortunately, I feel like there are very few critical thinkers out there who understand that a lot of people need to stop operating with their lower brain and start operating at a higher brain level. And if you don't understand what that means, I'm sorry to sound like a dick or a prick, but I'll tell you. What that means is your lower brain functions are all about your pleasure center and what you do for fun and what you enjoy in life, and breathing, walking around, and fucking, basically. It's fucking, sleeping, breathing, eating, drinking. That's it. That's your lower mindset. If it feels good, do it. And your higher mind is something where you take back and you look at the situation and you understand how this may affect you in the long term or short term, and come to grips with your conscience, or maybe your ethics or morals if you have any, depending on how you were born or where you were raised. And I feel that there are very few people who think about this kind of thing, or don't think like this. And if there are, we're a minority in the group. We are definitely, in a larger scale, we are a minority. That's why majority of people are obese and other stuff like that. And I have nothing against fat people at all. You know, there's all kinds of possibilities to how they've gotten that way. They're either born into being rotund, is I think a better way to putting it, or they have a thyroid problem, or it's a genetic, you know, there's a lot of genetics involved. And, you know, I'm not saying I'm perfect either. I'm a little chubby myself. I'm not gonna lie. I could do a few more push-ups and maybe some sit-ups and other stuff like that. But I want to get back to the core of the situation. The reason I feel that we Americans in particular are fat, or a bit morbidly obese rating is higher than most countries, or most countries don't even really care about that stuff, or probably don't even record it, but that's a different thing. I feel that there are a lot of uneducated, ignorant people out there who live a simple life and eat what they want to eat and do what they want to do, and that's fine, but they go to the next extreme. They continue to do what they want to do until literally their stomach could probably burst, and that's just not healthy, you know? Or they puke, they become anorexic, or they become bulimic, or whatever. It's just all these terrible things that people will do to themselves to fit some standard of living. It's terrible. It really is. Just absolutely terrible. We are at round 12, everyone. Just a brief moment of not-so-serious talk. I don't know. Sometimes my commentary will be about random shit, and other times, you know, I go on random tangents, and I apologize. I hope you, or a few of you, enjoy what I'm talking about when it comes to what I'm talking about. I mean, first I was on, you know, it's just, yeah. But, yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the gameplay. But I'll get to that point later. But basically what I was saying is that there are a lot of uneducated. I blame the system, to be perfectly honest. I blame the government. I blame the lack of education reform. There are a lot of things. And I'm not some bleeding heart liberal either. I'm not a fucking right-wing conservative. I'm a moderate. I'm a human. I'm a person, just like you. Just like you, viewer, who's watching this. You may agree with some of the things I say, and disagree with other things that I say, and that's perfectly fine, because we're all near the middle. And I believe that the reason why it's the whole entire lower mindset of giving yourself what you want all the time. Okay? And that's my last little bit there, my little rant. As you can tell, Dalton's gotten downed a few times. He's the German. I'm the fucking... I believe I am the Russian. And good old Pat is the American, I want to say? Anyway, I'm doing pretty good, actually. Not too great with zombies. I'm sort of side by side with Dalton, making sure he's okay. I keep sometimes I'll tell him to come back. He puts down claymores that saved my life and ends his. I have to reload and see my mindset. Even in a video game, I leave poor Dalton behind. I mean, look at me. I'll probably, yep, there I go. Because I want to live. Even in a virtual reality in which there are no consequences for leaving a man behind. I mean, me and Patrick try to get him back, but I feel like this is why we die. We do have monkeys somewhere. And then I pull out my badass weapon and I start shooting the shit out of people. And, wow, Patrick picked him up because of good old quick revive. So, I mean, I didn't totally leave him behind, but I definitely was thinking it at the time. That's the upgraded Galil, by the way. It's a really great gun to be using. The MP40 is also a great gun to be using. And in this map, you cannot really be staying in one place for too long. And you always want to get perks before you upgrade your guns. That's just my opinion, because there are plenty of guns you can use, like the MP40, in the upper levels before you need to pack punch them. But like now, I have one pack-a-punched gun, and I will shortly maybe have another pack-a-punched gun, and who knows what might happen. But I also have Juggernaut, because I know that I can't, because the zombies do more damage in the higher levels, like 10 and above, and they also they take more swipes at you at one time. They'll do a double swipe, or sometimes, you know, you'll get caught on something and they'll do some type of weird triple or something, you know, just random stupid shit. And it sucks. But yeah, it's been really interesting. I'm gonna grab an insta-kill and shoot some motherfuckers up. Comments, concerns, questions, subscribe, like, you know, all those good things. But we're not done just quite yet. There we go. Look at that. I got the afterburner. Yeah, and the afterburner is a quite decent gun too. I think my favorite weapon to upgrade is the commando. I love the commando. It's awesome. But yeah, we just have a great time. Trunks was supposed to be in here, but he lagged out, so we had to deal. Another thing that sucks about zombies and Black Ops, or the earlier maps anyway, or just in general, is that when a person lags out, the amount of zombies do not change, because for one person it's normal zombies, for two people it's 2 times the amount, and for 3 people it's 3 times, and 4 it's 4 times. So we started out with 4 times the amount of zombies, which is 1 times too many zombies that 3 people can handle. And that's what, unfortunately, Jesus, I'm surprised I even survived. I'm running out of there like a crazy person. We keep a chain trying to go along and try to avoid conflict the best I can, run and shoot, run and shoot. But, yeah, so that's another thing. If someone lags out, you have 1 too many zombies to handle. You have 1 times the amount of zombies you have to take care of now because someone lagged out. It's frustrating, because Patrick brings up the point you get more points, but then again, the downside is you have 1 less person helping you on your side as a team member. And me, Patrick, Dalton, and Trunks were actually a very effective team. We all did really well. I mean, we're at round 13, but unfortunately, I feel like the worst is going to happen, because the end of the video is nigh. Et tu, Brute, et tu. I'm just gonna throw some random Latin in there for my true nerds, all my friends. All my friends. I don't have any. You're like, shut up, kid, you don't have any friends. And I'd be like, that is so true, good sir, that is so true. See, and this is a false communication. I wanted to go one way, and Patrick said I should have gone another way. I think. This may not be the same round. I take out a shit ton of zombies. In the end. Crawler. You always want to aim for the head. Sure, you get more points when you aim for the body, but you waste ammo, goddammit. You waste ammo when you aim for the body. And then you can't use the bullets as effectively when you're shooting them. You'll have to reload sooner, or you may never have ammo again because you're out of ammo because you wasted your ammo on shooting them in the body instead of shooting them in the goddamn head. Oh, by far one of my favorite zombie movies, fucking Zombieland. I can't wait. Like, I really hope they make a second one. I'm pretty sure there's rumors about it being a second one. The Walking Dead is by far the greatest zombie series on television. And for you anime fans, High School of the Dead, that was so amazing. I mean, sure, there was a lot of fan service in there. the bouncing double Fs or shit like that. It's crazy. But there I go. This was the point of lost communication. Well, my name is Zach Potter, and I hope you have a magical day. God damn it! Goodbye, everyone. See you guys later.